What if a 1400-year-old text held a key to understanding our modern climate crisis? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to explore a really profound warning from the Quran about environmental decay, what it says the causes are, and maybe how we can find our way back to balance.
Okay, so the central concept we need to get our heads around is this word fasād. In Arabic, it means corruption, disorder, decay, the whole shebang. But here's the crucial part. It's not just talking about physical problems like pollution or deforestation. The source material frames this as a deep spiritual imbalance where moral decay in us leads directly to ecological decay out there. The two are completely linked.
And this right here is the verse that sets the stage for our entire explainer. Just look at the cause and effect it lays out. Corruption appears in nature, land, sea, everywhere, explicitly because of what human hands have earned or done. It's an incredibly direct statement, placing responsibility for the planet's health squarely on our shoulders.
So, to really unpack this, here's our roadmap. First, we'll dig into the warning itself. Then, we'll play detective and diagnose the roots of this corruption. After that, we'll look at a powerful model of compassion. And we'll wrap up by exploring what it really means to return. All right, let's jump into that first part, the warning. Now, the Quran doesn't frame Fasād as simply an environmental issue in the way we might think of it today. No, it goes much deeper. It's presented as a profound moral and spiritual failure, the direct result of humans messing with the divine balance of the world.
And get this, it's not presented as some kind of accident. This verse is a direct command. Do not seek to spread corruption. That word, seek, is so important. It implies this is a conscious choice, a willful act. It's a deliberate decision to cause imbalance, and it's something that is very clearly condemned.
You know, what's really fascinating is seeing how this concept has been understood over time. If you look at classical scholars like Ibn Kathir, they saw Fasād as both things at once, disruption in nature and decay in society. Fast forward to modern thinkers like Fazl and Khalid, and they build on that, framing it as a betrayal of a sacred trust, the amana, this responsibility humanity was given to care for the earth.
Okay, so that leads us right into our second section. If our actions are the problem, then what exactly are those actions? It's time to diagnose the causes.
The source material basically asks this exact question. And it doesn't leave it hanging. It actually offers a pretty clear and structured diagnosis for what's driving all this decay, both in the world and within us.
So the Quran points to three main culprits behind Fasād. First, there's overconsumption and wastefulness, a concept called israf. Second is neglecting that sacred trust we just talked about. And third is injustice, which ends up hurting both people and the planet. Let's break each one down.
First up, overconsumption. I mean, this verse couldn't be clear, right? Enjoy the gifts of the earth, sure, but don't be excessive, don't be extravagant. The source draws a straight line from this teaching to our modern habits of consumerism and waste, which are just chewing through our planet's resources.
The second cause is neglect. This comes from the Islamic concept of humanity being a khalifa on earth. Now, that word doesn't mean ruler or owner. It means successor, steward, caretaker. It's a role of immense responsibility. So when we fail to protect our water, our soil, our fellow creatures, the source says we're betraying that sacred duty.
And that third root cause is injustice. You know, environmental damage rarely happens in a vacuum. So often, it's a symptom of unjust systems. Think about factories polluting low-income neighborhoods, or a country's natural resources being exploited unfairly. The source argues that you absolutely cannot separate environmental justice from social justice. They're two sides of the same coin.
So, we've looked at the problem and its roots. Where do we find the solution? This is where the explainer shifts gears. It moves from diagnosis to remedy, presenting the life of the Prophet Muhammad as a living, breathing example of the very environmental ethics we're talking about.
And this isn't just theory. The model is filled with these really practical examples. He forbade cutting down fruit-bearing trees, even in the middle of a war. He taught that if you plant a tree and a person or an animal eats from it, it's a continuous charity for you. He was careful with water, even when he was right next to a flowing river. He taught that there's a reward for serving any living being. He basically saw the entire earth as a sacred space.
And this teaching, wow, this one is just incredible.
Think about it. Even if you knew for a fact the world was ending right now, your job is to plant that little tree. It is the ultimate expression of hope, of duty, of commitment to doing good no matter what the outcome might be.
This powerful idea of responsibility brings us to our final section, the call to return. We're actually going to circle all the way back to that first verse we looked at, but this time we're going to focus on its hopeful ending.
So let's look at that verse one more time, but really zero in on that last phrase, that perhaps they will return. The source interprets this in such a beautiful way. The environmental chaos we see, the Fasād, isn't meant to be the final word. It's not just a punishment. It's a warning sign, a massive wake-up call designed to make us turn back.
Which, of course, brings up the most important question of all. If the whole point is to return, what exactly are we supposed to be returning to?
Well, this path of return is a return to a set of core principles. First, it's a return to Tawḥīd, the idea of divine unity, which means seeing how deeply interconnected everything in creation truly is. Second, it's a return to real stewardship, acting like responsible caretakers, not entitled owners of the earth. And finally, it's a return to justice and moderation, bringing back balance and fairness to everything we do.
And so we're going to end with this question, a question taken from the source material for you to really think about. It's designed to turn all of this information into a personal challenge. How can each of us, in our own lives, answer this call? What acts of return can we make to start healing not just the planet, but our own souls too?